Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon, lecho hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon, lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol eid uvechol shah bishlomecha. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, O Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. We begin our reading of the Torah service, Seder Kriyat HaTorah, page 244. We rise as the ark is opened, and we look for a volunteer to take out the Torah scroll. Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai, v'ein kema'asecha, malachutecha malachut kol amim, umemshachtecha b'chol dor v'dor. Melech Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Av harachamim heitiv avirtzoncha et Zion, tivni chomot Yerushalayim, tivne chomot Yerushalayim. Ki becha levad batachnu, melech elram v'nisa, Adon olamim. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, udevar Adonai mirushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol Adonai Yitro. Shemo yachdav lecha Adonai hagedula ve'hagevura ve'hativeret ve'hanetzach ve'ha'od. Ki kol bashamayim uvaretz, kol bashamayim uvaretz, lecha Adonai ve'amlacha ve'ayit naseh lechol rosh. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, olam, olam omed. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, olam, olam omed. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. Please be seated. Tonight's Torah reading is Ha'azinu, taken from Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verses 1 through 10. Ya'amod Yirmiyahu ben Hillel v'Devorah levarach et haTorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Okay, we're doing something a little different tonight. I'm going to read it from the Schottenstein, big print, and it shows the trope marks. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing. But the trope marks tell me where the accent, the rhythmic accent of this poem goes, and that's what I'm going to talk about in the Devar. Ha'azinu hashamayim va'adabera, v'tishma ha'aretz imre fi, ya'arov kamatar likhi, tizal katal imrati, kaseirim ale deshe, ukrevivim ale esev, ki shem Adonai ekra, havu godel Eloheinu, hatzur tamim po'alo, ki kol drachav mishpat, el emuna ve'ein navel, tzadik ve'yashar hu, shichet lo banav mumam, dori kesh uf taltol, Hal Adonai tigmalu zot, am naval velo hacham. Halo hu avicha, kanecha, hu asecha veyekonanecha. Zechor yemot olam, binu shnot dor vador. Sha'al avicha veyagedcha, ziknecha veyomru lach. Behanchal elyon goyim, בהפרידו בני אדם, יצב גבולות עמים למספר בני ישראל, כי חלק אדוני עמו, יעקב חבל נחלתו, ימצאהו בארץ מדבר, ובתוהו ילל ישימון, ויסובבהו ויבוננהו, יצרנו כאישון עינו, כנשר יאיר קינו על גזוליו ירחף. יפרוש פניו, ייקחהו, יישאהו אל עברתו. אדוני בדד ינחנו, ואין עמו אל נכר. It's there somewhere.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
I'm only going to do a little translating. You can read that in the book on 1556. And I've been busy the last few days, so I haven't learned much of it. Let the heavens open their ears, and I will speak. Let the earth listen to the words of my mouth. Let my teaching drip down like rain. May it drop down like the dew, my speech, the utterance of my mouth. Like heavy rains on the vegetation and the light rains on the grass. When I call upon the name of Adonai, ascribe greatness to our God. He is the rock. His work is perfect, and all his ways are justice. In him, he is the God of truth, and there is no iniquity in him. Just and right and straight he is. There is no corruption in him. The fault is in his children. A foolish and dull generation. Is this how you repay, Adonai, you foolish and stupid people? Is he not your father who bought you? Is he not your maker who established you? Remember the days of old. Understand the years of generation after generation. Ask your father, and he will tell you. Your old folks, and they will tell you. When the Most High apportioned the nations in his apportionment of the nations of the sons of men, he set the boundaries of the people according to the sons of Israel. And I'll stop there.
Very nice.
I'll take this and go away.
Thank you. We pause to ask for prayers of healing for those in our community who are on our hearts and minds.
Anna Schumacher, Erica Weinstein, Robert Shaw, Fred Vincent, David and Jeanette Lemay, and Nelson Grudy.
Leah Winter, Dolores Rosa, Maxine Gropper, Sarah Siegel. And Patricia Groves.
May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say, Amen. We return the Torah to the ark, and we ask for our Gabbai again to lift the Torah. Vezot HaTorah asher sa Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai Hodo al eretz bashamayim, vayarem, vayarem, keren le'amo, tehila, tehila, lecho chasidav, libnei Yisrael, am kerovo. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Ki lekach tov natati lachem torati, al ta'azovu et hayimi lamachazikim ba vetomcheha meushar terachea darchenom vechol nativoteha shalom. Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai elecha, venashuva, venashuva, Chadish, Chadish, Yameinu kekedem. Please be seated, and we invite back our scholar, Rick Hughes, to enlighten us about this evening's poem, Ha'azinu.
Shabbat Shalom. I'd like you to be on page 1556, so you can follow along in this, or on the women's commentary. It's in the bulletin what their pages are. This is by way of being a crash course in Hebrew poetics. Fortunately, it's not as complicated as Latin or Greek poetry, with their dactyls, anapests, spondees, trochees, and iambic feet. For a long time, it was thought that Hebrew poetry was based on the number of syllables in a line, but that didn't work very well. Now the consensus is that it is based on the number of heavily accented syllables in a line. The prime consideration in Hebrew poetry, as well as in poetry of other Semitic languages, living and dead, was the concept of the parallelism of members. This means that a verse was divided into two parts. The first half of the verse stated the case. The second half would either intensify the first half or make a contrast with it. The first half of a verse might be an abstract concept. The second half would take that abstraction and make it more concrete and down to earth. End rhymes are not especially important in Hebrew poetry, although they do occur. More likely are interior rhymes with assonance and consonants. Hebrew poetry liked to engage in wordplay, vaguely akin to punning. I read you only a few lines of this poem attributed to Moses. It may be his. Some of the verb forms are very old-fashioned. If Moses wasn't the author, the actual poet used archaic forms to suggest that it might be, because if it was supposed to be ancient, it had to sound ancient. I will walk you through the first verse or so to show you how this works. I will read it again in the Hebrew and have something to say. Hazinu hashamayim ve'adabera. The first half of the verse has three heavily accented syllables with the same rhythm, dit-dit-dara. Ve'tishma ha'aretz imrefi. This also has three heavy beats. The first word, ha'azinu, means listen or give ear. The root word there is ozen, which is ear. The word ha'azinu in the first half waits for tishma, hear, in the second half. They speak to each other. Hashemayim, the heavens, in the first half, speaks to ha'aretz, the earth, in the second half. Va'adabera, I will speak, corresponds to imre fi, the words of my mouth, in the second. Adabera comes from the verb ledaber, to speak. Imre fi comes from the verb leomer, to say, in the second. The second verse also has 3 beats per half. Ya'arof, drop, speaks to tizal, flow, in the second half. Kamatar, like the rain, corresponds with katal, like dew. Likuchi corresponds to imrati, my utterance, my teaching, my utterance. And it rhymes with it, as it does with imre fi in the first line. In the second half of the verse 2, deshe, vegetation, abstract, corresponds with esev, the grass, deshe being more abstract than the concrete esev. You're tired, I'm tired, so we'll stop there. Thank you for your kind attention. Shabbat shalom. Are there any questions?
Well, I got more, but I don't, I feel like you should have a board you can show where it connects. That's interesting.
We can study it at home.
Yeah, yeah, I can take a class. Thank you.
Welcome. Now, if this conference lasts longer, I'm going to do a buck and wing and shuffle off the buffalo.
I think we're ready.
The tap dance, tactical tap dance, jump off the buffalo.
I've heard the word
Okay.
being said to us.
Okay. Oh, look what I found. Where did money get its start? Where did money get its start? Think biblical. Well, on Noah's Ark, the duck had a bill, the frog had a greenback, and the skunks had sense. All the coins are there. Okay. This one's not biblical, but this popped up in the office or somewhere. It's my writing, so I dropped it one day.
That little blue piece of paper?
Yeah.
Yeah, I found it in the end of the pew.
Oh, okay. It dropped out of my bag of goodies. What's easy to get into but hard to get out of? Yes. Very good. Trouble. We actually have a neighbor whose cat is named Trouble. So he comes to visit us, and I'll say to Dave, well, here comes Trouble. So he opens the patio door, and Trouble comes on in. Anyway. Announcements. Well, let's see. We just had a whole bunch of holidays, and guess what? Monday's another holiday. They really come pretty fast. So there will be an Erev Sukkot, gathering, decorations, and it does say potluck on the program, and somewhere else it said potluck, but we're not doing potluck because it's too much people breathing over other people's food. So you're to bring a bag dinner. It's brown bagged. And it will be dairy, so no meat. I'm still thinking about what's going to work for that.
You mean we each bring our own?
We each bring our own bag.
Bag dinner, okay.
So I'm thinking salad. Easier to bring.
And Shauna mentioned, Nancy, that she would, tell the family snacks, just to kind of take the dinner part out.
Okay. So we were gathering at 4:45. Starting at 4:45, so that's for decorating. So I imagine we're going to actually be more like 5:30 before we get around to eating in the sukkah. Oh, yes, right. I hope it came.
Yes, it did. It did come.
Sometimes that's been a problem. It's like, okay, where is it? Let's go gather some branches, go down to the river and cut some willows. Of course, Simchat Torah comes after that, and that will be the following week on Tuesday. And basically, that's it.
Torah study tomorrow?
I don't know whether we're having Torah study tomorrow because I'm going to be here. Sisterhood is having some kind of gathering at 10:30 tomorrow, which is the same time as Torah study, so I really can't do both. So are we canceled? Okay, well, maybe next week, folks? Right, that's a hard one. The poetry is harder to read because usually they throw in a bunch of words that, aren't in your basic vocabulary. Which is also true of English, German, Chinese, whatever. So Shabbat Shalom. We have, Shauna Worthington provided us a nice little oneg, so we will be doing that. And thank you for coming. We actually have a minion.
Would you like to open the Ark, Noah, for Elenu, page 282? 282. Elenu l'shobeach maton hakol, lateichu la'yotzer breshit, shelo sam k'goyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adamah. Shalom chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamoram. V'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamalchim, hakadosh baruch hu. V'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai, Melech al kol haaretz, hayom hahu, yiyeh Adonai echad, u'shemo We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our own hearts with our own Mary Blumberg, Bessie Glazer, Shirley Cafton, Ernest Pike, Anna Weinstein, Art Weinstein, Frank Traeger, Frida Epstein, Lillian Esterkin, thank you, Rosemary Kosloff, Evelyn Rosen, Jody Dreher.
Carol Carlson.
The Mourner's Kaddish, Kaddish Yatom, page 294. Yitgadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayachon v'yomechon, u'v'chayed chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha, la'ela min kol, birchata v'shirata, tuspichata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'ramav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. Amen. And our closing song is Oseh Shalom, the very last few lines of the Mourner's Kaddish, and then we will adjourn to our little oneg. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael ve'imeru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'akol Yisrael ve'imeru, amen. Shabbat Shalom, and I just want to thank everybody who worked so hard to make our high holiday services so beautiful, for all your contributions. And thank you so much. They were really wonderful. Shabbat Shalom.